This is a special episode about the ghosts of the Bell family farm, also known as the Bell Witch, which is considered to be one of the worst ghost stories ever told. This event is so scary and traumatizing that it can easily cause your body to get goosebumps. So if you're easily scared, maybe stop watching right now. And if you want the best horror content, don't forget to subscribe because we keep you on the edge of your seat. Prologue. In the year 1817, in the quiet town of Adams, Tennessee, the Bell family settled into their farm. The family consisted of John Bell, a prosperous farmer, his wife Lucy, and their children. They were a simple, hard-working family, respected by their neighbors and well-liked in the community. Life seemed calm and peaceful, as life on a rural farm tends to be. But their peace was soon shattered when something malevolent began to stir. It started small. At night, the family began hearing strange noises coming from within the house, knocking, scratching, and the occasional muffled voice. At first, they thought it was nothing more than the house settling, or perhaps an animal making its way through the walls. But then, the noises grew louder and more distinct. The scratching became more frequent, and at times it sounded like rocks being thrown at the house. The family would search for the source, but each time, they found nothing. Then came the voices. Act 1. The entity reveals itself. The first manifestation that truly caught the family off guard was the voice. One evening, while the Bell family was sitting together, they heard a voice, low, guttural, and chilling, saying, "I am the spirit of the Bell Witch." It wasn't a voice that sounded like anyone in the family or anyone from their community. It was deeper, unnatural. The voice claimed it had been living in the area long before the Bell family had settled there, and it had come to claim something from them. The Bell Witch began to speak in the dead of night, disturbing the family. The voice would taunt and insult the children, especially Betty Bell, John Bell's young daughter. The spirit would call her name and laugh mockingly at her. It wasn't just words, it was mockery, hatred, and venom. As days passed, the haunting took a much darker turn. The Bell family tried to ignore the disturbances, but it soon became impossible. Act 2. The haunting intensifies. By the winter of 1817, the haunting took a much darker turn. The Bell family tried to ignore the disturbances, but it soon became impossible. The invisible force became violent. John Bell began to suffer sudden, inexplicable illnesses. He was often paralyzed, unable to move, as though some unseen force was draining his strength. One night, while he was sitting in a chair, he felt an invisible hand press down on his throat, choking him. He gasped for air, but the pressure continued. When the family rushed to help him, they could see no physical assailant. His suffering became worse over time. But it was not just John Bell who was tormented. Betty Bell and her older sister Lucy were pushed, slapped, and struck by invisible forces. The children began to show signs of extreme fear and exhaustion. They would be thrown out of bed, slapped across the face, or dragged across the floor, unable to explain why or how. Eventually, the Bell Witch's presence grew more sinister. It began to speak to the family in an evil, mocking tone, telling them that it had a personal vendetta against John Bell. The spirit would often curse him and say that he was the reason for its suffering. The entity became more hostile, growing stronger by the day. Act 3. The arrival of the spiritualist. By 1818, the news of the haunting had reached further, bringing curious onlookers and those who wished to help. One such individual was a Mr. Brown, a spiritualist who used a form of divination to communicate with the spirits. He was sure he could help the Bells. He visited the house and conversed with the entity. What happened next shocked everyone. The Bell Witch suddenly turned hostile, attacking Mr. Brown. It made him fall to his knees and then struck him violently. The force knocked the man unconscious, and when he regained his senses, he had scratches and bruises all over his body. Mr. Brown was terrified. He had never experienced such power in a spirit before. He quickly ended his investigation, leaving the Bells to their fate. The attacks continued, growing more brutal. The Bell Witch seemed to revel in causing pain and misery. No one could protect them, and they feared for their lives. Act 4. The Terror of General Jackson. As the haunting intensified, the Bell family reached out to General Andrew Jackson, a strong and fearless man who had a reputation for standing up to threats. He arrived with armed soldiers, ready to confront whatever evil was haunting the Bells. However, their presence did not stop the witch. That night, the soldiers heard scratching at the walls, footsteps, and disembodied voices. The Bell Witch taunted them, calling General Jackson by name. "You are not welcome here, General Jackson," the voice echoed through the house. Suddenly, one of the soldiers screamed. He pointed to his face, showing a red mark that looked like a slap. Despite their efforts and weapons, the men couldn't prove anything. They, too, were victims of the invisible force. The experience shook them. None wanted to stay another night in the haunted house. They left without answers, defeated by the Bell Witch. Act 5. The Final Confrontation. Despite the terror, the Bells decided to stay in their home. They were determined not to let the witch drive them out. As time went on, the witch's behavior became more cruel and relentless. It seemed to enjoy causing pain and suffering. The family suffered mentally and physically, always on edge, never finding peace. John Bell's health declined rapidly. He became weaker and more susceptible to illness. He often felt a heavy pressure on his chest, and he would gasp for breath, struggling to breathe. The Bell Witch continued its reign of terror, making their lives a living hell. The family felt trapped and hopeless. They had endured months of torment, and the end seemed nowhere in sight. As the witch grew stronger, the Bells became more desperate. They reached out to anyone who could help, hoping to find a solution to their terrifying problem. However, every attempt to stop the haunting failed. The Bell Witch seemed invincible, its power growing with each passing day. The family's only solace was each other. They leaned on their bond, trying to find strength in unity. But the witch targeted them individually as well. It whispered to them, sowing seeds of doubt and fear. The family's unity was tested as they struggled to cope with the haunting. Epilogue. The Legacy of the Bell Witch. The legend of the Bell Witch is a chilling tale that has captivated people for generations. While there may not be a definitive answer to what truly happened on that farm in Tennessee, the story serves as a reminder of the enduring power of fear and the unknown. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the Bell Witch story is a compelling narrative that continues to resonate with audiences today. The story has inspired countless books, documentaries, and films, keeping the legend alive and terrifying new audiences. If you visit Adams, Tennessee, you can even explore the Bell Witch Cave, which is said to be the site of many paranormal activities. The legacy of the Bell Witch remains a significant part of American folklore, a cautionary tale of the darkness that can lurk in even the most ordinary places. And if you want the best horror content, don't forget to subscribe because we keep you on the edge of your seat.